House of Internet Pain. Tonight, we have a very special episode for you. That's right, you're finally going to get the content that you've all been clamoring for. This evening, we'll be viewing a few hundred slides from my recent vacation to California, followed by a riveting roundtable discussion on the understated brilliance of Christopher Nolan's 2020 autobiographical masterpiece, Tenet. I'm
Yes.
Leonard Nimoy. Join me for an evening of adventure.
Dude, if I could have Leonard Nimoy explain Tenet to me, I would 7 hours straight. I would sit in front of any
Yeah.
device. That's
All right.
amazing.
Okay, so it doesn't get much better than that in terms of introductions, but
It's all downhill from there.
yeah, I can't possibly follow that up. That was pretty great. But
We should make it clear that we're doing the D&D recap.
yes,
How long have we been playing now? What's our date on the first one? It's March.
It's been
so
almost a year.
Yeah.
coming up on a year.
And I mean, this campaign started the way that so many D&D campaigns started, which is a bunch of disparate vandals all got stuck together doing some kind of random thing that no one else wanted to do.
Yeah, got our arms twisted on social media and text message threads. And now here we are.
Well, I mean, I was talking about our characters, but I guess it's true about us as well.
Yes. Sorry, I thought you meant me personally. There's not a line between me and my character, so I have a hard time distinguishing.
Truer words have seldom been spoken. Just to set the stage a little bit here, right? When we first started this game, we had the following characters. We had the half-elf bard, Barley Maltson.
I
didn't think I wasn't prepared to talk about him, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm in my feelings now.
All right, well, he was there in the beginning. And then we had the Dragonborn Ranger, Dirk Chigger. Chigger, excuse me.
Chigger.
We had the Halfling Sorcerer, Ezraphim Briarhip. Am I saying that correctly?
Mm-hmm.
No, but go on.
Please correct me.
Ezraphim Briarhip, although at this point we're just going with Ezra all the time. Never adding the theme there on the end.
Okay.
Who needs a theme?
We had the Kender Cleric, or the half Kender Cleric, or the 3/4 Kender Cleric, Gelidus Trapspringer. And we had the Dwarven Barbarian Zerwin Grumpleforged.
Mm-hmm.
And the group of adventurers had been drawn from various realms and worlds to a place called the Radiant Citadel.
I was there for a rave.
Yeah, can we? Yeah, I was gonna say let's sell the product a little bit.
There it is.
The Radiant Citadel. We started off. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna ask you, as we're going through this, it would be helpful for me as a player to know at what point our campaign veered wildly away from the journeys through the Radiant Citadel, or whatever the actual name of that book is. Did I get it close? Was it close?
Yeah, that's right. So basically after chapter 3, I believe, or possibly chapter 4. Chapter 4, I believe, is when we moved away. So I had an overplot that is written, and I started it off by using this book because I was like, it's a great way to introduce characters and people who had never played, several first-time players who had never played before, and the Radiant Citadel was a really sort of beginning-friendly way to get people introduced, and then I could slowly twist you into the realms of my own, unfortunate series of events.
See, I always had a sense that your primary role was to twist us.
Mm-hmm.
You're a real twisty guy.
But you did. You started on the Radiant Citadel, and everyone met, and the first person that they all met really was Speaker Shola, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And that was in oh God, what was the name of that place that we all met in? Hold on, I'll find it right now.
Yeah.
The Gloom's Edge.
Great name for a bar. Great name.
Bar.
The Gloom's
Baron,
Edge.
please stop licking. Good God, please.
Okay.
I love my dog, viewers. He's
They
licking again.
Speaker Shola, who is essentially like um a politician, an important politician on the Radiant Citadel, asked the players if they would do some work for her. And the players agreed, and if I'm remembering correctly, the first thing that you all agreed to do was to go to the night market
Yes,
and
that's right.
do some investigations there, because apparently some things have been going missing.
We
So
worked
there's
on solving a dispute between two different vendors in the night market, uh, the Tienmos and the Zungoons, a gnome family and a kobold family, respectively.
and weren't
Who,
things falling from the sky?
yeah, they had gotten into conflict in part because um, they had like things had disappeared from one of their stalls, and they had accused the other stall of taking it. And what we established really early on is that neither family, despite how vociferous their antagonisms of one another, neither one was really responsible for uh, the issues. You know, their conflict was a symptom of a much more deep-seated and uh,
Trouble.
troubling problem.
But you couldn't gather all of the information to solve all of the issues because the people in the night market did not trust you, being
That's right.
newcomers and outsiders. So you had to earn some trust. And you were sort of in luck because you were just in time, if I'm not mistaken, for the games, the market games. You remember this part?
Oh yeah, this
Yeah,
is how we got our name.
Go on.
So we competed in these games.
Hold on. Do you remember the 3 games that you competed in?
There was we had to fight a giant shrimp,
Okay, yes.
shrimp wrangling.
The
shrimp
battle
wrangling,
prawn challenge.
battle prawn. Excuse me.
It was shrimp
Uh,
wrangling.
what were the others, Ezra?
There was spicy pepper eating,
Right?
The pepper eating contest.
and you remember the third one.
The hide and seek
I was
challenge.
gonna say,
I-
damn it, I should have just
That's right.
guessed.
Very high stakes stuff. And were we called the spicy oranges partially because of the victory in the spicy pepper eating contest, but also because wasn't it tamarinds? Was it
Uh,
tamarinds?
Persimmons.
Persimmons.
So
Persimmons.
one of the things that had been taken was a crate of persimmons,
That's
and
right.
that fell from the sky overnight. And when
Yes.
we were investigating persimmons, using the readily available in the fantasy world, Google, we discovered that persimmons are they could be described as spicy oranges. I know that they're a lot more complex than that. I
And it
don't know
was
that I've ever
very,
had a
very,
persimmon
it was so funny when
because
I found that
I'm
out.
an uncultured swine, but I've heard them described as spicy oranges, among other things.
I've never heard them described as spicy oranges until this game, but I'm pleased that you call yourselves spicy oranges.
Yeah,
And
Thanks.
and then all right, so you won, I believe, all 3 of the events. Is that
that's
correct?
correct. That's
Yeah,
correct.
we're very talented.
Hmm.
And then you earned the trust of the vendors and people at the night market.
Because that's how trust works. If you beat a giant prawn and play hide and seek well, you are trustworthy.
I would say it's more like if you show that you're willing to participate in the local customs in a like sort of fair and open way, then I think
Mhm.
that people tend to view you as worth their time. So what did you find out?
About the persimmons falling from space.
And the things that were missing.
Good boy.
You guys remember?
Hold on. That's a good
So
question.
it was another vendor. Um, Cassim, was it Cassim? Cassim?
Yes.
Yeah, Cassim.
Cassim,
Basic
who was sort of working on broadening his own presence in the night market. I believe he wanted to kind of take over additional stalls, and there was also like an issue. His
right.
brother wanted to leave. His brother wanted to move out of their business that they shared. His brother was going to get married and leave, maybe leave the Radiant Citadel or at least the night market.
Well, and
And
the
Cassim,
stall placement was very hierarchical and
yes.
seniority based, and Cassim didn't have any hope to move up through legitimate means in terms of getting the marquee stall place.
Um, so if you're going to play this campaign yourself, spoilers on that. But he was using little demonic bat monkeys
Yeah,
or little demonic monkeys. Did they have bat-like features at all? They could fly.
They're more like
Uh,
lemurs with wings, and they're not demonic.
yeah, so less
They're
Wicked
fey.
Witch of the West and more Madagascar. But
yeah.
They're
yeah,
they're fairies, right? They're fey. They're called windlings, and they like persimmons, as it turns out, and they like causing mischief. Um,
Sounds like my kind of people, honestly.
yeah, and you resolved this peacefully, right? You helped Kassem a little bit instead of just arresting him or trashing him or whatever, and you earned some more respect that way. And then you went back to report to Shola, who told you about. No, actually, you first went back and spent the night. When you woke up in the middle of the night because there was a body had been found. Do you remember that?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what the thing I was going to say is, all of us at this point, many of us had been dubious about whether or not we were going to function as a group. But
It's
at this
true.
point, all of us were hooked on this campaign and
I mean, I'm
eager for
still.
more. Especially our friend Barley. It
Mm-hmm.
turns out, uh, who what it was like his cousin who was the dead body, right?
Yeah.
It was indeed.
Yeah. So the way that our campaign works is whoever gets spoon-fed plot, like they end up leaving permanently. Um, so yeah, there was a body that was discovered, and it turned out it was Barley's cousin, whose name I can't remember.
Woder.
Um, Odor,
Woder.
Woder. Woder.
Woder, yeah. And at that point, is that what sent us to Waterdeep? There was something in between,
No.
wasn't there?
Yes, there was. No, you were sent to
Oh, right.
the Awakening Festival, right? At
Yeah, in the
God's
God's
Breath.
Breath
God's
region
Breath.
and
Yeah,
near the Village of Promise. People
that's
were acting weird. I mean, more power to them. Keep Promise weird. That's what I always say. But, apparently, um,
you went
The
to
Awakening Festival.
you went to Promise, where I struggled through a series of really poor Southern accents.
You did struggle. That was
Yeah.
bad.
I only have one Southern accent, and I tried to do like seven, and it just, wasn't great.
there were townsfolk with red eyes. We discovered this after we arrived. We didn't know beforehand, but there were townsfolk with red eyes who were attacking other townsfolk. I mean, like if they were going to attack wild animals, that would have been one thing, but attacking other townsfolk, that's a problem. Um, and that's kind of where we picked things up. We slaughtered a whole group of brigands like as soon as we arrived.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, when we
No
just came in,
survivors.
they were like, "You're not allowed to be here," and we killed them all.
Yeah.
But I think we were justified.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys got some nice straw hats, if I recall correctly.
That's
Barley
true.
found he got
It's an
a,
important
a
plot point.
doll that looks like him.
You got some little dolls that look like
Not
you.
not creepy at all.
And
Ezra,
then
have we gone into your book yet? I'm seeing your book in the notes, but I don't remember when you got it.
Well, that's how I got into this mess is I fell into the book.
Got it.
But I wanted to, as with so many things, I was going to ignore it as long as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we didn't talk about our character backstories. I don't even know if we could find them anymore.
I can find them
Well,
if
I
you
don't
want.
think we have to go into every character backstory, but you have a particularly interesting one in that you are carrying a book around this entire time that is a real pain in the ass for you personally, from what I
Yeah,
understand.
one of the things that started happening around this time is we all started having weird dreams, and for our uh, most prestigious magic user, Ezra the sorcerer, he started having dreams about there being a giant house cat sized tick, like engorging on the back of his neck and hanging down off of his quite small back.
It's a
That'll
very
be the
MC joke
only
at the
that'll be the only joke about my inability to measure things. Um, and this giant tick siphoning the life force out of him. And it's related to Ezra first came to the Radiant Citadel because he fell into a book of infernal magic that has now latched itself to him through a curse that he seems unable to break. And the book sometimes whispers things to him. Sometimes gives him valuable information that helps solve problems, but usually it's just kind of a problem. Um,
I I believe also that before you left to go to this place near Promise, didn't you go to the quarantine to find Zerwin's toad?
yeah,
Right.
we talk about that one a lot less, and I got to tell you, the cave toad is a lot more interesting to me than some book of infernal magic that has cursed a sorcerer to suck its life force away. Um,
Yeah.
Zerwin,
Worships.
uh, yeah, there are cave toads which are the size of like horses, that his people hold in very high esteem. And Zerwin was tracking one of them, and we found it in the quarantine of the Radiant Citadel. To put it as succinctly as possible, the cave toad was described as kind of rapey, if I'm honest. Very sexually active, and forward about
Yeah.
its sexual activity.
Intentions. Yeah.
Can't remember the name of the cave toad. Bill
Matilda?
probably can. Matilda the cave toad.
I think
Beautiful
I'm gonna
name.
double check that. But go on.
Um,
You saw
and
other
that's
things, and no, you saw other things in this quarantine. You saw several other things that were important in this quarantine. You saw some demons, right, and some
Yep.
devils being held in this
mhm,
quarantine.
yeah.
And we saw my basilisk wife.
You did meet
Dirk is
Nancy for
married
the
to a
first time.
basilisk,
Yeah. Nancy. Um, and that was weird.
Why
which
was
is
that weird?
striking because Nancy's supposed to be on the farm, and
Yeah,
here she is in the Radiant Citadel.
exactly.
Really, it made us concerned about Dirk's farm, where there are like star chickens and
Exactly.
um, what are the other livestock? Do you remember? Because
This is a
Vampire ducks,
vampire
vampire
duck. We raised vampire
space
ducks.
goats.
base
Space goat.
goats.
Yeah. Um, Nancy. So when you walked through, there was a giant lizard, and Dirk started having a one-way conversation with it, right? Calling it Nancy, and then he said, "That's my wife, the basilisk." Except it wasn't a basilisk, and no one else could hear the conversation.
Okay, first off, basilisks are telepaths, and secondly, I think I would know a
No, they're
basilisk if
not.
it was my wife more than you guys.
The
Uh,
dog has managed to dismantle a shark, guys. Totally, totally torn apart.
The dog should be in this campaign. Sign the dog up for
Well,
the
he
spicy
he
oranges.
was earlier. Go on, Bill, or Kyle.
you
Somebody.
went you went to Promise, and they were talking about people having gone missing and things having gone missing. They asked you to investigate, which you did. That brought you on, or brought you to a caravan, which started leading you out into the Reach, um, where you encountered first some kind of wild zombie direwolf type things.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they had resistance to short swords, much to Barley's chagrin. Um, Yeah, we had this bard who traveled with us, and I think he sang a grand total of twice over the course of like 10 sessions. Can't believe it. I miss him.
He really favored those short swords.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when you arrived at the abandoned farm, you found some zombie question marks, possibly people that were acting really strange inside. Then there was a
And
hidden
we subdued at
trapdoor.
least one of them. Yeah, there was a trapdoor.
You
We
s-
found a number of trapdoors over the course of this campaign.
They're pretty
Although,
popular in this world.
yeah, frankly, I could do with more trapdoors.
Um,
Falling into them,
Mm-hmm.
discovering them.
I
Mm-hmm.
believe you went through the trapdoor and you found Kiana, correct?
That
Um,
sounds right.
but you also found some weird thing made of many arms, right? These like this arm demon thing, and then there
Yeah,
was, yeah, you had to fight that. It was
so
made of
bad.
like a fleshy arm thing, and then you also got ambushed by demons, and things looked grim, but then Gramnor showed up, right?
Right.
And he tossed you all some potions, and he slew one of the three demons, and then he disappeared again.
Yeah, it just like came out from a hell portal, just fiery and angry. And we're like, oh, this is normal. This is a normal thing to happen in the basement.
He might have even. I mean, in my recollection, he immediately slaughtered one and like grabbed another one and dragged it back into the portal so that we
Yeah.
only had to fight one. That might have been it.
Could be,
I don't know.
yeah,
Anyway, and he also threw, yeah, the potion that he threw us was like a potion of long rest. It was awesome. And
yeah.
we immediately consumed it, all of them, uh, because we didn't know what we were doing.
It was pretty great. Um,
It's funny because like at this point, knowing what we are doing, we still make terrible decisions. It's just we're aware of them as terrible decisions. It's an interesting dynamic.
okay. Then you have sort of solved that little mystery because it was the demon that killed Woder, and you weren't sure why the demon killed Woder, but it sounded like it was connected to Barley's father. Question mark, you're not sure yet. Um, so you went back um, to the Citadel. And then as you were like sort of recovering, right? Um, you heard some commotion out in the alley behind the tavern. Do you remember this?
I
You
do. I was going to add at this point, this is the first time that we kind of hear a whisper that some of the infernal forces, in this case in particular, the demon, wanted to get information about the magic of the Radiant Citadel, probably in order to weaken the magic of the Radiant Citadel. But yeah, there was something behind the tavern.
um I believe the alley between the diamond and the tavern, right? Yeah, you're having drinks. Someone bursts into the bar, bloody claw mark. They collapse. You come outside. You hear a commotion. You go into the alley where you see, for the first time, you meet Owen. You remember Owen was there for the first time, and he was
Okay.
fighting four demons and kind of losing a little bit. Um,
Nice. That's what he's like.
what's that?
That's what he's like.
Yeah. And he was also standing over a body, if you remember correctly. Um, and when you stepped in to help Owen, and you defeated these things, and you found out the body was someone connected to Dirk. Do you remember this, Dirk?
No, wait.
Uh,
There was is this the man rent by claws?
nope.
Well, let's scratch that from the record.
Yeah, that was the person who like kicked off the thing. The men stumbled in, rent by claws. You were called out into the alley.
Marissa,
And who was Marissa?
the a dead dragonborn
Yes. Looking for Dirk.
looking
Right.
for Dirk.
Call me back to the farm.
And then, just when you thought you were going to get away, didn't a wall of fire appear? And you met Asher?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and he seemed like a real straight shooter. No issues with that at all.
He's like a totally normal
Um,
guy.
definitely not either a demon or a devil in disguise.
Well, and he
Uh,
tried to negotiate with us. What did Asher want?
so he wanted information about the diamond, and he was willing to pay us 400 gold each, which even 6 levels later feels like a good amount of change.
That's a lot of money.
Our DM has been real slow with the payouts for our
I gotta be
viewers.
honest, that's true.
Really kind of dragging down the whole campaign because we don't get any interesting loot.
It's true.
Anyway, neither here nor there. Uh, yeah. So, and then Owen told us not to trust Asher. Owen Barclay.
He's
It's
a
named
loser.
after a bank.
He's a human paladin, as it turns out. And what was he sent for?
He's a buffer between the planes.
No. He was sent.
Oh, sorry. The diamond is a buffer between the planes.
The diamonds. Yes. Owen was sent to protect Gelidus by the Gelidus' order. Because Gelidus' order had heard that several demons had attacked Gelidus. And so they sent a paladin to help him, not knowing that he'd already found a group of friends. Which worked out well.
Mhm.
That's helpful for me because, it's been almost a year and I can't remember why Owen was even hanging around and guarding Gelidus. So now I know.
Why does someone keep hanging out with Gelidus so much? This is annoying.
From there, to move right along, again, I know all of our viewers are riveted by our recap here. We went off to San Citlan.
Yes, you did. Why?
I don't know. I thought it was going to be enough just to remember where we went next.
That's true. You did go to San
Literally,
Citlan.
my note is next we're off to San Citlan to investigate ... something I missed. We go to the library to investigate the place we're going to investigate the something. There was a devil compendium.
Oh, this is where I got my book about lizards.
It
I
is
still
where
have
you got
that
your book about
by the
lizards.
way. I picked up a book about lizards in the
I remember
library.
we ended up dealing with a real asshole in San Citlan.
Yeah,
But
real
for the
uptight
life of me, I can't
librarian.
remember why we went.
Didn't want us to take it. We were researching your book.
Well, we did that, but that wasn't the purpose of us going there. We just did that while we were there.
I'm going to say some names. Do you remember Rufina or Paloma?
I don't remember the
Paloma,
name.
I have in the notes. I just saw it, and I was wondering why I was writing about a cocktail. Oh, she showed up through a trapdoor. She has a curse.
There's a
Right.
cursed village. You approached a small village. You were immediately ambushed and attacked, right? You fought
It
off
is
the
how
attack.
I was going to say that is how we get to the villages. It's by approach. We were attacked. Go on.
Actually, that's a good point. How do you get from the Radiant Citadel to all these different planes of existence?
We approach them using some
This
sort of
book
magical
tells-
gem that transports us between the planes. A diamond.
The Auroral Diamond is the center of the Radiant Citadel. It's the
Yep.
massive, skyscraper, many skyscrapers stuffed together sized thing, right? Like
Mhm.
a huge, massive diamond that has its own gravity. You use the Concord jewels to get from one place to another. They
The
are basically
Concord grapes.
the Concord grapes. You did go to the library first, where you found out that the Auroral Diamond, which is the center of the Radiant Citadel, is essentially a giant battery, right? It's a ley line convergence point between the planes, right? So all this magic gets filtered through there and distributed amongst the planes. It's protected, right, by its own powers, but also many forces, and stuck way out in the ethereal plane where supposedly nothing could even find it. And then there's a massive storm, right? And I
Mhm.
believe you found out about the massive storm also. You said, yes, you did, right? That massive, powerful, destructive storm is a failsafe. wherein, if anything terrible happens to the Royal Diamond, that massive storm comes in and destroys everything and resets the diamond.
Right. Yeah, because you got to reboot it if just in case the bad guys are gonna take it over. Because if they get charge of the Auroral Diamond, then there's real issues.
Okay. Um, right. Back to San Sleeplan. You met someone who had been cursed, right, and turned into a monster. You met some folk heroes, and eventually you were led to a hollow mine, right? This old mining town. But before you got there, there was some disturbance at a little shack, if you remember correctly, up on the hills. And you heard this strange moaning noise, and you went towards it. And what was in that shack? Do you remember? I remember. It was Etton's. Is this ringing a bell?
Man, whoever takes these notes has got to do a better job.
Yeah, this is bad.
So
What was Adams?
they were in a little shack near the mining town, and when you went in, right, they had murdered a family. You guys killed the Ettons, but there was dismembered parts of a woman all over the inside of his house, and
Yeah, that was bad.
someone had a flashback.
I did.
You did. Do you remember what it was about?
Yeah, I had a flashback about like being in the farm and essentially like seeing a female dragonborn dismembered everywhere. And I was like pretty disassociated, but also way in the trauma at the same time. So it didn't fully make sense, but it overwhelmed my system.
Good. You proceeded into the mine. Um, you went through the bottom of the mine. You killed some things. There was some weird experiments going on down there, if you remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
There was some demonic energy. Then you popped up in the middle of the God, what's it called? It was like a festival of the dead, right? Night of the Remembered. That's what it was called.
Mm-hmm.
You popped up in the middle of this huge festival, and everyone's out on the streets, and it's just crazy mayhem, and you're chasing this person through this thing. And then you get to this house, and the woman there says, "That's my son. Please don't kill the monster. He was cursed." You agree to
Mm-hmm.
go help him. You make your way to an abandoned metalworks.
Because we're following a giant owl.
Yeah, a weird owl thing. That's correct.
Weird
Yeah.
owl
Serapio.
flying through the sky.
And it turns out that the owl was the sun. Again, his name is Serapio.
And then we got to the metalworks, and there you were attacked by demons.
Yeah.
Gnarly
Yeah,
ones.
King Kongs, big King Kongs.
And
Giant apes with tusks. They're blue, orange, and yellow. And I didn't write the name of them.
doesn't matter.
Again, whoever takes these notes is doing a bad job. It's me.
No, we had to fight two giant demon ape tusked things.
But don't worry, it was
in
super easy. You just totally abolished them.
I mean, we kind of did.
No, Ezra died.
Oh, right.
I
Well,
didn't.
but
I didn't die.
You did, though.
No, I got knocked unconscious. I got downed.
You got downed, but then you also failed your first saving throw.
Yeah,
One
it
could
was
say
close. It was
one
really
could say
close.
Ezra was the first to get down, which wasn't hard because he was the closest to the ground already.
Get down.
And while you were out and having failed your first death save, right? You had a vision. Do you remember that vision? Probably not.
I don't think I put it in the notes because I think you sent it to me as a direct message.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me about that
Um,
if you don't want to.
This is the one where I was looking at a throne and I heard a voice telling me that I needed essentially to get rid of it, and it being a very loaded term. And there I could hear really loud, scary noises in the next room. And there might have been some fire. There was probably some fire. That's not that bad considering that this was 9 months ago that we did this, right? Like I'm on the right track.
Yeah, it's good. You're right. You defeated the demons, and then you return to the Radiant Citadel victorious. Um, and when you did, there was a message for Barley that apparently his father had gone missing.
At this point, we're like level 4, folks. Like we've got our first feat. Like we're doing well.
Only one person's died. It's fantastic.
I didn't die. I got better.
Die. He had a near-death experience,
Yeah, it was awesome.
which was in the end a positive. He
I don't
solved
know
it.
about you, but death would solve all my problems.
Where did you go when you found out that Barley's father had been kidnapped?
Waterdeep.
You went to Waterdeep, which is a truly
Sorry for our
massive
headphone
city.
using viewers on that. I'll try to keep my voice down.
Yes, you went to Waterdeep, which is truly big, and that's because Barley's father is what at Waterdeep?
Nixon? Wait, sorry. This is
Living
another gate.
at Waterdeep. No, he's the head magus
Yes,
at Waterdeep. He's even got some
the
underlings who
Archmagus.
are overlings compared to us. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yes, you met. Well, you went there immediately, right when Barley found out his father was missing. You went to the Archmagus Tower. You did some investigations, right? As you
Yeah,
went
this
up.
I
Go
was
ahead.
gonna say this is where Ezra really leaned into his Hobbit cop personality. And yeah, we investigated, we detected to the best of our ability, which is not very much. We realized that the tower had been intruded upon from the outside, so there was an implosion rather than an explosion. We found a variety of things in the room that were not there before and seemed infernal in nature. We also like all of these things were supposed to not be able to happen based on the magical protection at the
Uh,
tower.
And then something even weirder happened because didn't a portal open up inside while you were there?
Mm-hmm.
And
Probably.
and who popped out of it?
Uh, I listen.
Was
I'm
it
gonna take
Gramnor?
a stab
It
in the
was
dark. Yeah,
Gramnor.
Gramnor,
It was Gramnor.
Gramnor
because
popping out
he's
of portals and stuff, just
one
being
of
super
one of
helpful.
3 people who's popped through portals so far. So had a 1 in 3 chance.
Who were the other two?
Literally
You could
me.
argue Owen and Asher would be the ones that I would argue about. Actually, you could also argue
Neither of them
the
popped out of portals.
scary demonic apes because they were hidden from it. They were
The,
invisible.
the scary demonic apes did sort of pop out of a portal. That's true. They popped out of a
Yeah, so
portal
still
to a
1 out
hell.
of 3. You
Yeah.
could have guessed
Two ways.
Gramnor or the
Gramnor.
first ape or the second ape.
That would be pretty great if it was like, oh, the apes came out of the portal in the magic room. Yeah.
So Gramnor comes out, and what does Gramnor want?
He's looking for his daughter.
He's looking for his daughter. And who was his son?
I love
Is
that
it Woder?
you're running this recap like it's a 101 class about a book that we just read.
Does
There's like a
yeah,
book report vibe to it, and like,
it's
and what did he want? And you're like, did you read the book? And I'm like, I think
Yeah.
he wanted
it
his
is good that
daughter.
most of our viewers are
Good.
your students because
Yeah.
this is going to feel real familiar to them.
Oh man, it's like a warm blanket of Professor Stratton.
Yeah, I feel like I'm 21 again
And what did he want?
and
Who
I don't like it.
who remembers Gramnor's son?
Uh
So he's searching for Celine,
That's his daughter, yeah. And his
and he's
son,
tracking Armoros.
yes, he's tracking Armoros. Who's Armoros?
This is
Armoros
a potent
is one of
magic
the
user.
infernal beings. He's either a demon or a devil. Um
Devil. Super gnarly. You got it. And his son, Stiggy, was
That's it.
Zerwin's best friend.
Yeah. If Zerwin was here, he could have helped
He
with
probably
that.
would have remembered. Yeah, I should have given you that one. You're right.
He's
Zerwin's
got
not
a
here.
mind like a steel trap, that Zerwin. Intelligence of 8, but mind like a steel trap.
Okay, so Gramnor is looking for his daughter, and this is all connected because. Does anyone remember why it was all connected?
No. I
Fair
mean,
enough.
we talked about it earlier. Or maybe we didn't. Oh no.
There he is.
There he is.
There he is.
He pops in.
Bill, I want you to know that you've rigged me to have a panic attack anytime someone strange enters these rooms, because it's almost always been bad. Like,
Can
you
I?
had a friend come in and play Asher. You had a
Oh
friend
yeah.
come in and play that the Asimar. That one was less bad, just a little strange.
Yeah, either it's
Um,
really dangerous or we got to watch like 10 minutes of Shakespeare, and that's hard.
yep. What was your question, Bill?
Well, my first question was, what was the name of Gramnor's son, which is Stiggy, and then what was the connection between why Gramnor was there in the first place? And it has to do with Armoros, right? Because
Zach looks good tonight, guys. Looks like
He
he's,
really does.
had a haircut and a trim of the beard. Looking good,
is
Zach.
that true, Sake? Did you get a haircut? Oh, you're muted.
A few weeks ago, I did.
Well, it still
Uh,
looks good.
They want Malt because to continue to interrogate. They want to interrogate Malt to find out answers about the Radiant Citadel's magic.
Very good. Very good. Yes.
Well, also, wasn't he looking for his daughter?
Yes, Celine.
Well, I mean, not Malt.
No.
Well, Gramnor was looking for his daughter.
Yeah, who was taken by either a demon or a devil.
Yes, and also he knows that Armoros is the one responsible for the kidnap of his daughter, and he also knew that if anyone was capable of tricking and some way infiltrating this tower, it would have been Armoros, right? Since Armoros is potentially the most powerful magic using devil maybe ever, question mark.
Dun 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 dun.
Well,
You went
other than Ezra.
Well, I'm only a handsome devil.
He
You
meant
met-
your backpack.
You met the Council of Waterdeep. They asked you to investigate. You went to the tower. Gramnar popped out of a portal, and then from there you went to question. Oh, I just forgot Barley's dad's name.
Malt. Anyway, it's been an hour and we're only a
Yes.
third of the way in.
Yes, Malt.
Malt is the name of Barley's dad. That's why he's Barley Malt's son.
Yes. They wanted you to investigate that, and then you interviewed Malt's assistants, right? He had 2 assistant archmagus.
Yeah, I'm really angry that I committed that to memory. Malt. Useless information.
So
Yeah, the 2.
J.F. Finn, maybe?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yep.
Unless it's not, in which case I knew it wasn't because I took copious notes.
Edric also is another one.
Olivia is the assistant, so not one of the actual mages, I'm guessing.
Oh, no, Olivia was the head of the city security. Right? She's the drow.
Okay.
Yep. And Civ
It's not what it says in the
Worthburga.
notes.
Well, your notes are incorrect. Civ Worthburga is the half-orc. She's the head of the guard. Sutson Ionius, head priest of the Temple of Tyr. This ringing a bell?
One of my notes references the rather important truly crucial note that the Gloom's Edge has a phenomenal blueberry chicken.
It does actually.
I gotta get better at this.
Well, but we didn't know that blueberry chicken was gonna be good. And I think it was important that like we documented that when we went and we got a blueberry chicken that it was actually quite good. There was a fair bit of Googling that went on about blueberry chicken in
It's
that.
so good that it's one of maybe only a half dozen meals that I talk about in the notes.
Yeah, exactly. So like
Out of 28 sessions, only half a dozen meals.
just like give it respect.
I don't know about our viewers, but all that my diary in real life is talking about my meals.
It's just a Instagram food channel. It's just
Look,
That I
that's
keep to
all
myself.
D&D is it's a vacation, right? It's just shit that you do between meals.
vacation to me is like first you're gonna go eat and then maybe later get something to eat.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, do you want to find a
Yeah,
cool restaurant that I've never been to before?
now we probably ought to eat something.
Yeah, exactly.
By the time
I'm
we get
surprised
home,
they
we
don't
get
walk.
changed and go for a shower. We'll probably need something to eat, right?
You take a walk between meals and hopefully maybe you get some culture just by walking off the meal. But if you don't, that's fine. You'll get a meal to take care of your
It's really
feelings.
true. That's yeah.
It
No,
is. That's
We're gonna have to give a writing credit to Jim Gaffigan now, but all right.
was that a
hot
Gaffigan bit?
pockets. All right, so so you found a dead body at the docks, right? Juno
Yeah.
Winsome, remember this? And her brother Garl Winsome. So they've been living on the streets. You went back. You paid for someone to speak to the dead when Sutson was revealed as someone who'd been orchestrating some murders around. Remember
I
this?
don't know that we paid somebody to speak to the dead. I think Gelidus did that.
Oh, could Gellus do that? Maybe Gellus did it.
Yeah, he spoke with Juno, and there was one of maybe my favorite moments. I listen. This is I know that this is broadcast on Twitch and stored on YouTube, and not to be overly critical of the avenue by which we reach our viewers, namely Twitch, but it has been a nightmare for me to try to find actual videos on our Fair GM's Twitch. But that's one of my favorite moments was that speak with the dead because it was very tense. We tried very hard to only ask 5 questions and not make any weird, stupid mistakes. Sorry, not to grind this to a halt, but that was a fun scene.
Yeah, no, not at all. You did well. I think you discovered what you wanted to in that scenario. And by the time you sort of like went back and told Civ Withberga and Olivia, right, you got the sort of authorities involved, like a sort of like mini war had broken out in the streets of Waterdeep between the acolytes of the Church of Tyr, and apparently a bunch of them had gone crazy. Is this ringing a bell? Remember this? And
Yeah.
so you had to like fight some of them. The city guard sort of stepped in where they could. Um, Yeah, and then you found
Is that when we found the owl guy?
no, that was San Sudlan. This is when you found the contract signed by Sutson. Remember? And Sutson had made a deal with a devil.
Yeah.
And that had gone very poorly for everyone involved because something happened, and I can't remember how you did it, but you forced him to break his contract, and then what happened to him? Do you remember?
Yeah, he turned into a demon and then exploded, or he turned into an infernal being and exploded.
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
your book ate him essentially.
well, we don't know that. The book probably consumed his soul when he exploded.
Right.
It's not that the book didn't make him explode. Books can't do that
They
for
can
all of
only
the power
consume
that
stuff.
books
They can't
have,
Oh yeah,
and
explode.
no, they can only slurp after something explodes in the
not
room.
to get political, but Republicans are right to gather all those books up and burn them. Anyway, what was I talking about? We solved the murder. I'll read it the way I'm going to read it verbatim, the way it is in the notes. We solved the murder. It was the bad guy. He turns into a demon and explodes. Ezra's book slurps, etc.
Honestly, I think the whole recap should be just that. Just bullet point. We solved the murder. It was the bad guy.
You eventually did manage to figure out which of the acolytes had been corrupted, most of them without their knowledge, because Sutson had slipped the demonic contract into a regular ledger, and many of them had signed without their knowledge.
Yeah, they didn't know that they were signing away their mental health and freedom of choice. And
The good
Who would have
news
thought
is,
that a
again,
deal
not
with
to make
total
it political.
literal deal with devils would oopsies on you.
Signing that contract is just like living in America. I mean, come on.
so because they hadn't willingly signed the contract, their souls and bodies were not forfeit upon its breaking, but they did suffer, right, temporary
Insanity.
possession, right,
Mm.
temporary
Colorblind.
possession, and several of them died as a result of it. But you were roundly thanked by the Council of Waterdeep. You did discover basically what happened to Malt, that he was kidnapped by Armoros to give information about the Radiant Citadel, which is a bad
Yeah.
connection because now you have a very powerful Archmagus and one of the most powerful demon lord or devil lords that have ever been, who studies magic, and this Auroral Diamond, which is the hub of all the ley lines in existence.
To be very specific, and again, this is in the notes, Malt had been working on a process to take apart complex magical weaves piece by piece. That is the very specific piece of information that the devil wants in order to use it at the Radiant Citadel.
I believe you also found like a sword pommel. That's correct?
We did.
Yeah. Oh God, we haven't thought about that in almost a year. Yeah, we found a half-charred pendant, 40% missing, but with a strange symbol on it. A broken talon, a pommel guard, but the blade's not there. It looks fancy, and a note scrawled in blood saying, "Barley, I love you."
I believe you took that sword pommel back to Speaker Shola.
Yeah, and we started to investigate. I'm going to keep calling them infernal beings because I have trouble differentiating between devil and demon, and
That's
I
great.
just want to get it right. So instead of getting it right, I'm going to be vague. We didn't find Celine or Malt, by the way. They're still out there. So, we did get roundly thanked, but we didn't really solve the problem. We just figured out what the problem was.
You did find a traitorous demon worshipper in the inner council.
Devil worshipper.
Devil worshipper, you're correct. It's so correct.
Again, sorry, I raised my voice. I need to stop doing that.
You also found out about Gargoth. Does that name ring a bell?
Yeah, so I'm guessing that Gargoth is the one who was confined in a magical sword.
Was a long time
Yeah.
ago. And Gargoth was I mean, you found out some things about him, right? You found out that this was in the Waterdeep Library, in the Archmagus Tower, where you found out that Gargoth had basically challenged the lords of hell and lost and had been cast out. But now maybe question mark is back / alive / doing stuff. Who knows?
Yeah, the first hint on that was the sigil that we saw on the pendant was Gargoth's seal, and that's what sent us to the library to look Gargoth up. He's a former archdevil, got a betrayal and political corruption, so he would do well in America. He made the war machine turn. He was the treasurer of sorts for a while. There's a footnote though in the notes Not well, it's not a footnote in our notes. They're in the book that we were reading. The footnote said that Gargoth actually left whichever realm. Wait, is he a demon or a devil? Archdevil. So it would have been Avernus, right? He left voluntarily rather than being exiled, and that he has a long con to roam the plains, gaining power before destroying Asmodeus and taking control of hell.
Supposedly. This is one theory that you read about.
Right. I guess Avernus is only one of the hells.
Okay.
The hells.
So you seem to have located some of your more... So the fact that such large, powerful beings are directly involved seemed striking to you. And you sort of pieced together what's happening with the Radiant Citadel. Speaking of the Citadel, you went back. You spoke with Shola. She told you about the sword. Then the owner of the Keening Over, which is the other bar next to the Gleam's Edge, where Zerwin used to bounce. His name is Ash, super nice guy. Invited you, or asked you to do a favor. He gave you a little pendant to send to Waterdeep, which is where you were going. No, sorry, Baldur's Gate, which is where you were headed next. And why were you headed to Baldur's Gate?
In part for Dirk, right?
Mhm.
Dirk was well, the essentially military called him back to serve, right? Because he's, I don't know exactly what his title is, but
He comes from a noble family and he has experience in the military, and they wanted to call him back to basically demand that he train the city guard and or the military of Baldur's Gate. As Erwin said. You said it first, Erwin.
That's correct. When you arrived at the city of Baldur's Gate, it was really stormy, which is pretty normal, but it was also kind of foggy and dark, and you heard some strange voices in the
Yes.
mist.
Still don't know what those are, and it only haunts me a little.
Then you went in, you met the council. There was the Council of Five, right? There's Herminius, Wolfhard, Fotina, Avine, and Sigward. They essentially wanted Dirk to return to service. That there's demons around, and they need, they've heard that Baldur's Gate's going to come under attack sometime in the next year by some sort of demonic army, question mark, they're not sure. You went back to Dirk's parents' house, and then you decided to take a trip to the farm. This was pretty important.
Mhm. Yeah, we went to the farm because we wanted to check in on the space goats and the vampire ducks.
Coast to
And
coast.
they were fine. They were good. And just very healthy space goats. And then we went into a room that someone had painted in red paint, and we were like, "That's cool." And then we left.
Yeah, nothing else happened. Some of
Yeah.
us, not Ezra, really upset that I failed this role. But some of us noticed that all of the livestock was actually totally normal and not magical or interesting in the ways that Dirk had said. And the one thing that Ezra did see is Dirk had another post-traumatic flashback inside the home related to his wife, who's I almost just called her Matilda. I can't even
Fancy.
keep track of it all over the course of 1 hour.
So I had a flashback. Dirk had a flashback of seeing Nancy being essentially disemboweled by demons, and was mostly cool with it.
Yeah, so
Okay.
one of the things that we start to put together is that the basilisk, which we didn't even say this, but it's not actually a basilisk. It's something else that just looks like a basilisk.
Yeah,
Um, who Dirk has been calling Nancy and has been saying is his wife, is not actually his wife. His wife Nancy was also a dragonborn, who was killed in this event, and Dirk has not really been able to reconcile with those events. Dirk's parents are a little bit aware of this, and they refer to Nancy as the Lizard because of the fact that it's not actually Nancy. Yeah, a lot of strong familial vibes that none of us have any real world emotional attachment or reactions to in actual life. Um,
Oh
Nobody
man.
has associative emotional engagement with traumatic experiences.
Uh,
Just for
you on your way back to the council, Zerwin's necklace. Oh, where'd you get that necklace, Zerwin?
Uh, can't fucking remember.
yeah,
Hmm.
I don't know that any of us have ever stopped to ask you in the game. It's just sometimes there's a glowing necklace.
What does it do?
It glows when there are, uh, I think demons, not devils.
No, anything infernal.
Oh, anything infernal.
Yeah.
It glows when there are infernals near us. Where did I get that necklace?
Oh, I'm probably not going to tell you now. But
Okay.
Infernal beings, because it doesn't glow all the time with the book being around.
yeah. You noticed it was glowing. You stumbled upon a super gruesome scene, right? A boy and a girl, inside out,
Making
basically.
out. Oh, it was ugly.
No, dismembered, inside out. And then there was
That would be ugly.
then, yeah, then there was a dog, a puppy. Remember
Oh
this?
yeah, Lermenion.
You got yourselves a dog that you named Lerm.
Lermenion.
Yeah. Um, but you also noticed that this was a demonic ritual that had sacrificed children, right? In the city of Baldur's Gate. Um, then you get sent on a mission from Sigward, right, to go to the mines because miners have been disappearing. You went there. You found some demons.
Wait, did we already stop at the shop and pick up the necklace?
No, that
I thought we
happened.
did that first.
You
Yeah.
did that first. That's true. Um, you picked up the necklace from for Ash. Uh, you went to the mines. You cleared out the mines of demons and some other strange things that you saw there. You saw Geldis walk on water slash fly question mark. You weren't sure. But on the way out, probably your favorite encounter of the whole campaign so far happened on your way out of the mines, if you recall correctly.
I mean, it might have been the favorite for a few of us. Wasn't my favorite.
Who did you meet?
Uh, Gramnort? No.
No,
It was a demon.
it was a demon that we had heard of before.
Was it Grazitz?
Yeah, that's the one. Yep. If you had given me
Uh,
just a few seconds, I know in today's world of constant connection, like you can't even have a moment of silence before people lose interest and close the Twitch stream. By the way, I just checked. I think I was the only viewer. Yeah, Grazitz, who's a demon. He's a big bad demon, and he froze Dirk and beat the shit out of the rest of us. Although I got to tell you, that Zerwin, he's a scary dude.
You rolled.
Zerwin put a real hurting on that guy, and if any of the rest of us had done anything worthwhile, for instance, I wasted a fireball on him because he's immune to fire. What a waste of an action.
What did he want?
Um,
Do you remember?
he wanted, uh, yeah, I have it right here in the notes. Grazit says to bring the book and the relic back to Baldur's Gate on Gloaming Day if Dirk changes his mind.
Okay.
So what we know is on or just before Gloaming Day, Grazitz is going to arrive with some sort of army, and it's going to be bad.
All right. Then you left. But before you left, you went back into town and you talked to the Council of Five. Specifically, you talked to Iveen, right?
Yeah,
Aveen,
she's old.
Iveen. Yeah, the elven sorceress, and she asked you what happened in the mines, and Dirk would not tell her, and she was displeased and told you that you should all leave now. You did so. You went back to the Citadel. Upon return to the Citadel, Speaker Shola said she had a personal favor to ask you, which was?
She wants us to go to the Wormwild in Kryn, past the Plains of Dust, Dragonlance realms. There's a village there being ravaged by a dragon, and she gives us a ring of teleportation to bring us back to the Citadel later.
Okay.
And literally the next 11 sessions, no more than that, 13 sessions, 14 tomorrow night. Tune in. 8 p.m., 8:30 p.m., Sunday, February 25th, when we all try to dig ourselves out of this hole.
All right.
It's a deep hole.
You moved basically from the beginning quarter or fifth of the story into the start of the middle of this story, which is mostly taking place in Kryn. And in Kryn, you've discovered all sorts of interesting things, right? You've for starters, you found that there was a village town, let's call it, called Wonder, and it is a mining town, correct? Um, and you heard rumors that a red dragon and some draconians have been disturbing the town. In the town's area.
In particular, the outlying regions, the farms and homesteads, kind of southwestish, if I'm remembering right, or westish from Wonder. Also, we delivered Ash's pendant. I think we referenced the pendant earlier, and then we just let that thread like fall away.
But
And
then
Ash
didn't he?
wants dragon scales
Right. He asked us for something else, which was dragon scales.
if we can get them.
Okay. You also, Shola gave you each a weapon before you left, right? I'm pretty sure she did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine gave me an extra. What's it called?
Rage.
Attack.
Yeah,
Oh,
an
an extra
extra
rage. Not
rage.
quite as good as an extra attack. Mine gives me an extra fireball, which at that point, I don't think I had ever used fireball successfully in combat, so that kind of felt like salt in a wound, if I'm honest.
I
Oh,
don't even
What
know
was
what
yours, Dirk?
I can't even find. I look at my notes and it says I have a reptile book.
that tracks. Yeah. You got
That's
a
about
bow.
right. I got a bow.
All right. Let's not lose the thread here, though. Wonder, the small mining town, it's in trouble. What do they mine there?
Dragon metal.
Dragon metal, which is
It was used in the olden days to make the dragon lances.
yes, stuff that is. It's a very special metal. Let's just say. Um, you met
A
there.
valuable resource.
You met Cranor Steelbeard. He was the prime delegate of Wonder. He was a dwarf who had been left in charge of the defenses of Wonder. And you met a bunch of other people there too, right? You met, you met Yarn and Phaley. Those are Galadis's parents, right? And Yimmy, the serpent. You met Reed, who runs the Tall Irons, which is the name of the inn there. You met Follis, the green-haired elf mage. You met Alzor and Becky, the Minotaur.
Sure did.
and you met Kiggy, a blue ogre, and her brother Starlbrand. And you met Darman, Urson. Okay, but I'm getting ahead of myself here. The first thing that you did when you went there, right, was you talked to the Prime Delegate, and you went to the inn. Then you went to see Geldis' parents, who were very, very kinder, who were very excited to meet you. And then I believe you went out to a farmhouse in the mountains. Do you remember this?
Yeah, we went out to one of the homesteads that we referenced earlier because they were getting attacked by draconians. Well, actually, what we knew is that people were vanishing, uh, really, and we assumed it was the draconians. So we went to a homestead and
And
I got distracted by a dream that Gelidus had.
you found Fodleys. Remember?
The inventor.
Yes, the Tinker
Yeah, a
Inventor
gnome
gnome.
inventor.
That's correct. And you sent Fodleys, I believe, back to town and decided to stay and ambush the Draconians. Which could have gone a lot worse, I suppose. You had a
We got
battle
a
with
magic
them.
invisible hut that we can put up, and so we built a hut. People were in there.
Yeah, and then we had a little miscommunication because we killed them all instead of keeping one alive.
Yeah, we didn't leave
I
anyone to
kept on saying,
interrogate.
I've said this multiple times. Keep
You might have
one
said it. If you did,
alive.
I ignored you.
This
You know,
is part of the reason that you and I hate each other in game.
Well, in theory, that would have been metagaming anyway, because you were down there by yourself. You
I
didn't
was
know
gonna
how
say
things was going.
the in-game reason for me killing that last draconian does make sense, but it's true that my final decision resulted in us not having one to interrogate. We did, although we found some things on them.
A note. You learned
Yeah,
about.
we found a key ring with 3 rings on it, or 3 keys, I'm guessing. A message written in cipher. Yeah. And a ring of scrying.
And what happened when you used the ring to scry? What did you see?
The wound is still fresh, Bill. I could have solved everything if I had been paying closer attention in this moment. I saw a vision of a room in a cave. It was large. One of the walls was transparent. There were approximately 24 draconian soldiers hanging out and playing craps. There was magical light. The walls were shored up with timbers. And that was everything that I wrote down. I think that's most of the information that you gave me at the time. And so we assumed that that was their base, like their home base, and it must have been in a mine or in a cave. Um, what we didn't know, what we didn't realize at the time is it was a mine, and it was also the mine underneath Wonder, where they were gathering up slowly to make a sneak attack.
Oh wait, we didn't get this stuff until after we chased, right? We chased them through the woods, and the
We
one
chased,
blew up on my crotch.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we happened to see, I think it was Dirk actually who saw it. Dirk was on watch and
Chesic
the rest of us were
Dose.
sleeping.
Chesick does.
Yeah, Chesic Dose, number 2, not the first Chesic. But Dirk was at such a distance that he didn't recognize him. But we saw a person approaching, and when Dirk called out to him, he ran, and we all chased him down. And it was Steelbeard's assistant, whose name I can't remember,
It was a
as so
spy in
often
the
happens.
city.
Yeah, they were using polymorph to get into the city and act as Steelbeard's assistant in order to gain information. Zerwin again did a really great job solving the first problem of getting the guy to the ground and trying to interrogate him, and then he exploded all over Zerwin's crotch.
You also,
Well, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
that's,
It's all right though, because I mean, you got with Becky before that, right?
I did, yeah.
So
So your bucket list was complete.
so you met Kiggy, and then you met the bear led you on a little spiritual journey, right?
not me, but everybody else.
And then you went back to talk to Steelbeard, and Steelbeard said, "Okay, if we're going to be attacked by 2,000 draconians, our only hope is to find the crown of dwarven kings." And he asked you to accompany him to go find this crown, which for some reason you agreed to do. And let's see, you found these ruins. You traveled south for a while, and you found ruins, and you went inside. Thousands of years ago, it was an old ogre city. You solved a couple puzzles. You put together a couple pieces of things, and then you made your way to the inner sanctum, in which there was a
Dragon, but a dragon skeleton. It's an undead dragon.
A bone dragon.
Yeah, like a
Bone dragon.
creepy eldritch dragon made
So
out
we
of
fought a bone
bones
dragon.
and
And Steelbeard, you'll never believe this. Steelbeard dies fighting this dragon, but we get the
I
crown.
would believe it.
That's what's important. And so we
You
fight
get
this
the
thing.
crown.
We're like all super excited, and then we come out. There's the bone dragon. That's not gonna help anybody. Anyways, the bone
it's a
dragon.
death dragon.
It's a death dragon, so we kill it, and then we're like, "Yay, we killed a death dragon!" Also, we got this magic helmet for Zerwin, and then we come out, and there's a giant red dragon right there. The second we come out, and the red dragon's like, "Haha, you did what I wanted you to do by killing the bone dead dragon." And we're like, "What are you talking about? I don't even know you, bro." And then he throws us off a cliff, and then we all try to do crazy magic, which is useless because then we don't die from the fall. So then we got to go back to Wonder to be like, guys, there's a great big red dragon. His name is Rhymeroth. We discover Rhymeroth is gonna attack Wonder. He wants to take over the mines with the dragon metal underneath. And so we go back to Wonder. And we're like, hey, we got to get ready because Rhymeroth is gonna come here. And we killed the bone dragon, and apparently that's not a good thing anymore. And we
That was wonderfully succinct.
How did we get the silver dragon lady?
We're
You're
still a
not there
couple of
yet.
sessions away from
We're
that.
not there. We're a couple of sessions away from that. That's right, because we get so we're like, okay, we got to prepare the city to get ready. So we're like, cool, we're gonna go talk to the elves. So we go in to talk to the elves. Everything goes great. We get like 68 people to help us. Some of them are sorcerers. They think that we're awesome. They're like, wow, you guys are really, really great the whole time. And then we come back.
No issues.
This is not a faithful recap for our viewers.
This is a really good recap.
It's
Kyle's
pretty terrible.
right. We after we dealt with the bone dragon to expedite that because that was a session or two. When we left the ruins,
Are we just gonna skip the fact that I rode it? I literally jumped on its back and fucking brought it down.
You did. That's why you're Zerwin the Dragon Rider, the Dragon Straddler. You straddle dragons. So Rhymeroth was waiting for us. One of the things that
Adventurer is
really Zerwin the Get Arounder. So Kyle didn't mention this, but the Death Dragon was actually the brother of Rhymeroth. And the dragon had told us that he and Rhymeroth didn't get along, but we were still like, there's a dragon here. We need to take care of this. So we killed the dragon. You may remember that Fodelies, the gnomish tinkerer, we had rescued. Let me do that with all 10 fingers. Rescued from her hidden trapdoor workshop and sent to Wonder to be safe. It turns out that Rhymeroth had been searching for her. So when we exited the ruins,
Which was
Rhymeroth
why there
confronted
was
us,
draconians searching that
looking all over the
farmstead
place.
every
Yeah.
night that you
Yeah, they knew that she was there, but they couldn't find her.
You guys found her though. It's pretty good. You guys
We
found her
did.
right
Yeah,
away.
we found her.
Good
We
job.
found her, and we made her safe. Rhymeroth basically monologued at us for like 10 minutes. He said that he had wanted this to happen all along.
It was like
He
3 minutes.
he wanted to steal Photoles and Gelidus's dad, and he was gonna burn Wonder to the ground and
He
take the
also wanted
dragon
you to
metal
kill his
mines.
brother.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to say that part. I didn't want to reveal all of the ways we played into his hands. Sorry, do dragons have hands? His
Yeah.
claws, his talons.
Oh, they got hands. Why not?
Yeah, they look creepy as hell with human hands coming out of their dragon legs. Yeah, so he monologued about how he was going to use the dragon metal mines to create war machines. He has 2,000 draconians, which is a lot. One could call that an army of draconians. And then he used magic to blow us off of a cliff, thinking that he had killed us. But we survived.
Yeah, we survived because of Starlbrand.
Yep, because somebody had removed Featherfall from his spells when he leveled up. So he hadn't needed it.
Who was that?
D&D
Was
is
that
a
you,
learning
Zerwin?
experience. What?
I said, who was that? Was that you, Zerwin? Was that
Yeah,
you?
we get you get better age. As you level up, you get better. It's much like life. I'm getting better with age. Nobody tell me different.
All right, then
Yeah, so
you go back
we
to.
went back to Wonder and decided we were going to raise an army to defend the city.
And
We
you
had to reveal
evacuated
that
a lot of the
Steelbeard had
women and
been
children.
and we revealed that Steelbeard had been killed. One of the things that happened in the ruins is Zerwin actually put on the crown, and it worked, which means that Zerwin has some royal dwarven blood.
Somewhere in that lineage. Then you decided to
Somewhere
go.
hidden.
Yeah, then you decided to go see the Qualinesti, or is it Qualinesti? I can't remember. The elves, right? Because you needed more support. And you met Appinicus.
Well,
The
and
leader.
so the crown actually told me, like, the crown got us to even see Appinicus because we didn't know anyone's name. So the crown, I forget who we talked to that time, but one of the people in the crown
Wasn't it
helped.
Jessamar Stevenson?
Yeah, that would, yes, because he was the first one. So Jesmar told us how to get in there and kind of help guide us through that a little bit.
It was that and the name Rhymeroth, because the person that we had, or the elf that we were talking to happened to be the leader of the Black Lotus Eaters who had recently been ambushed by Rhymeroth. And so when we mentioned the name Rhymeroth, the elf, no, not Alzor. I think it's another A name.
Ardril?
Ardril. Immediately goes to Appinicus and says, you have to take an audience with these people. We go in, we request help. We do a decent job, but the only members of the Elf Council who stand up are the Black Lotus Eaters, and there's not very many of them. Yeah.
Which makes Dirk rather unhappy, and then he proceeds to yell at Appinicus, and then Appinicus threatens his life and tells him to leave. You will walk away with the Black Lotus Eaters. On the way back, you encounter a group of 100 Draconians.
Yeah, Draconian ambush. The elves are able to see the ambush well in advance. We break into their camp and kill the two Draconian guards, and we find a human woman in a cage inside the camp.
Her name is 4-7.
We set her free. And she gives us some details about what she knows a little bit. She's essentially an enslaved person who, you doing all right there, Zerwin?
Uh-huh.
Who has been her entire life been made to be a servant for Rhymeroth and the Draconians. And she tells us all kinds of kind of strange things, like when when the servants turn 100, they get brought to an estate uh, where they're like a farm essentially. They get brought to a farm upstate, and they're allowed to be free, and they retire up
Yeah, it's
there.
retirement. Isn't that nice?
So, there's a bunch of things that seem wrong in that, but essentially, she looks like a pretty young woman, and she's 99 years old, or 98 or 99. And she has like silver hair. She's strikingly beautiful. Things are starting to seem a little strange in this
Zerwin
fantasy
had
world where dragon people are gonna murder a whole city. Go ahead.
Zerwin had a couple of really great power rolls that game session, where he rolled a 0 on a couple of things. That was pretty great. Then you go and ambush the ambush of the
And it goes
Draconians,
well.
and you goes
Again,
really
with
well.
Zerwin using the helm or the crown of Dwarven Kings to get tactical advice, and that went well. And we only lost a few elves.
That's right. And then you take 4-7 back to Wonder, where Dirk suggests, or Ezra suggests, I can't remember which one of you suggested it, that you try to do some sort of dispel on her, right? You get the collar off.
We started to realize more quickly that there was more to 4-7 than met the eye. I don't remember who made that final suggestion of she's not actually a person. It might have been Dirk or Zerwin. I don't think it was me. So we bring her down to the shore.
It wasn't me. I actually think it was Gelidus.
It was
Might
my
have been
suggestion
Gladys.
to take her outside before we did anything, though.
Yeah, that sounds right. And then we use one of the NPCs to cast a really high level dispel magic, and she turns into a beautiful silver dragon on the beach.
At which point you piece together that her life has been what?
She's a breeder.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's breeding the Draconians.
That's how she's making the Draconian. That's how Rhymeroth is making the army.
And
Yeah,
she wasn't
so
alone, right? She had other breeder
all of
friends.
these enslaved people. Yeah.
Which is how they're making so many Draconians so quickly. Yeah. Okay. So they have an army of 2,000 Draconians here. Who knows what other kind of armies of Draconians they've built up other places, right?
Well,
Right.
I feel like you just gave us something. Yeah, the guy who runs the game knows.
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought about that, Bill.
You're
Thanks. Now I know what I'm gonna lie awake thinking about tonight.
That was a freebie. You do a decent job calming her down, you get her sort of settled, but then you decide to go to Thorbarden to ask the dwarves for help. When you get to Thorbarden, you meet Grim Coldhammer, right? The old man who's hanging out playing with his grandkids. And then you meet his daughters. Well, no, you meet one of his daughters.
We meet one.
Yeah, Thena, right?
Who lies and says she's the other one.
And I fucking knew it the whole goddamn time.
Did she actually lie, though?
I don't think she did.
She didn't lie. She withheld, and I just shut my mouth and was like, we'll just keep going. I knew I should have pressed.
Hey, a lie of omission is a lie.
Fair enough. Malgola and Thena, who are very different sisters. Malgola led you to believe that she was Thena, so that she could set up a meeting without Thena. However, you also met someone else in that meeting. Someone who was friendlier.
Yeah, an old dwarf.
He's the historian. I can't remember his name.
Harmach?
I do. I would have found it.
That was definitely in the notes, but yeah.
So that's kind of my job to have all these names
They've-
handy.
The notes have gotten a little bit better as we've gone along.
They definitely have.
Good old
Really,
Harmon.
since Jana started playing.
Oh shit! I forgot. We forgot to introduce Jano. That happened while you were in Wonder.
Yeah, one of the things that happened really quickly after we realized how much shit we were in and the fact that we would have to raise an army is this rogue, a
And
human rogue.
she showed up some like minotaurs for us too. Like she
Yeah, 24, not minotaurs, centaurs.
Centaurs, sorry.
Yeah, 24 centaur warriors or soldiers, and told us that Speaker Shola had sent her and the centaurs to help us because Speaker Shola had heard that we were in deep shit.
Okay.
And that's how Jana, our rogue assassin, joined us.
that sounds just like Speaker Shola.
Yeah, bailing us out.
She realized she'd sent a bunch of men to do a woman's job and then quickly fixed it. All right. So then after you left with the compromise of sending 500 dwarves, which is substantial, by the way, I think, an army of 500
And
dwarves.
yeah, and we managed to convince 80 cousins to join in as well.
Well, yeah,
Oh,
you
he
went
was
to
getting there.
Yeah, after you got it was 500 dwarves, including 10 healing clerics, right?
I thought it was a dozen. I thought it was a nice. In fact, let me push further. It was a baker's dozen. I could have sworn it was 12.
Can I ask something? What nobody in Thorbarden really, or Qualinest that well, I guess elves don't age, but nobody from Thorbarden would have any actual experience in fighting dragons, right?
Well, dragons are super common in Kryn, so even though the dragon wars ended, I don't know when. They're common enough that there are definitely dwarves who have fought dragons. They
All
may
right.
not have, maybe not super recently, but that was one of the things that they told us is, we were like, these guys are going to show up and they're going to break the door down because it's a dragon and 2,000 of his little minions who are part dragon, and they were like, this city has withstood the dragon wars, and we fight dragons all the time here, and we have for hundreds and hundreds of years, and it wasn't a big deal. It's not a big deal. We just repel them. That was part of why they weren't taking the threat more seriously.
2,000 isn't even that big of an army to them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then you went to Thena said, I can only send you 500, but you should go talk to Dorna, who is a brewer, which you did. You went to talk to Dorna at the brewery where you met. Well, first of all, Dorna is who?
She was Steelbeard's lover,
Yeah.
and some sort of captain for the for the cousins, but was Steelbeard's lover.
Yeah. And you got Steelbeard to talk to her through the crown.
That was essentially my first successful attunement.
Yes.
It's perfect.
And then the cousins decided to go to war with you, right?
Well, for us.
Not
by
well,
your
not-
side. By your side. And they invited
That's
you to
another scene just to throw out if our viewers, and I know you're watching, he winks. That's another scene worth watching. The scene between Steelbeard channeled through Zerwin and Dorna. If you do want to go back and watch semi-interesting role-playing scenes. Continue.
you met a bunch of them and you were invited to participate in the games, which you did. And I believe
kicked ass.
Dirk took second in a keg throwing contest. Is that correct, Dirk? And Zerwin won a wrestling contest
At the expense of 15
Dangerous
points, which I know that if Ezra was present for these, would have been losing his mind.
I was losing
Nah.
my mind. I
Dirk-
was present.
Dirk,
proud of you.
the rare voice of reason, was not happy with us doing this.
I was like, "What are you doing? Spending all of these danger awesome points?" And
The only,
everybody was like, "It doesn't matter." And I
I'm
was
proud
like,
of you for spending them. The last campaign I played with Bill before this, the only time that anyone used any danger awesome points other than me was to make me re-roll a roll that I had succeeded in order for me to fail. So I'm proud of you.
all I'm saying is that we are literally about to enter the epic battle with a dragon. And everybody was like, "We don't need these danger awesome points."
Yeah, he's kind of got a point there.
I just like we are going into the big fight. If we were just sort of like, "Oh, nothing matters. We have a gajillion extras." That's fine. But we're going. Never mind.
So
Never mind.
it's
So
over.
the rare voice of reason
Yeah,
from Dirk.
no, you're right. You couldn't,
Was then and in
you couldn't, however, get 500 dwarves through the portals that Starlbrand left. So you took the cousins with you directly to Wonder, and then you sent Starlbrand and the dwarves to meet at a separate place in between Wonder and Thorbarden. You went back to Wonder, and you planned your next moves, and that's pretty much where the story is left off. Is that correct?
Yep. It only
Well,
took
no,
us 2 hours.
Wonder was attacked. Did we talk about that? At a certain
I
point, Wonder
hinted
was
at it.
attacked. Like Becky was injured, right? We needed healers. We kind of skipped that part.
I hinted at it. Yeah. So what we had seen, or what I had seen through the ring of those draconians, the approximately 24 draconians or 20 draconians in a mine, they were under Wonder, and they launched a surprise attack where they captured Gelidus' father and Fadali's. And all, yeah, like Zach said, they also hurt Becky and injured a bunch of the soldiers or the town guard, who we had to heal when we got back from the ruins. That happened while we were in the ruins.
That's why Rhymeroth thanked you.
Yeah, because we
But
made
yeah,
it
it is
all
worth
happen.
noting that that attack happened. It's good. All right. Is there anything else we should add now that we have? Yes, Dirk.
we should do a 3-minute recap of the whole thing.
Jeez, it took us 2 hours to do this one.
Took us
An
2
hour and
hours.
30 minutes.
And look, God bless anybody who's made it 90 minutes into us being like, and then it was this person's name, and then it was this person's name. But
Well, I'm having a great time.
I think we should do a 3-minute chaotic speed run recap just for anybody who's like, what the hell is happening?
Okay.
I'm gonna need 2 or 3 more drinks first.
We could do that right now. I can edit it later and make it a highlight.
This is what I'm saying.
But how are we gonna do it?
We're
First of
gonna
all,
do
go
it right
ahead,
now.
get another drink. Go ahead, get another drink.
Duncan's gonna get another drink.
Okay.
What time are we playing tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow.
I have tech for the Tempest, which they say they might get us out by 8 for. But then they also say they might keep us till 10.
Did you
We'll see when
yell
you get back.
Duncan to get me to come back, or
No, go ahead.
You
Go.
yelled something else. All right, I'm leaving.
Do we have a plan for how to do this speed run?
No. All right, but like I think basically just be like spicy oranges, group of vagabonds have to prove themselves, discover that there are demons, fight gorilla demons, discover that there is dark magic trying to infiltrate the space diamond, with Speaker Shola guiding us to protect the space diamond from the demonic infiltration, We go on various adventures that lead us to a place called Kryn, to a town called Wonder that we must defend from a giant red dragon that is gonna try to get essentially uranium.
Well, and at this point in game, we have no idea what the connection of this right Wonder and Kryn is to the overarching story. We think we're on a mission, a personal mission for Speaker Shola, which I find hard to believe.
Well, but we do have an established relationship with Speaker Sholo where we understand that this is a person who has bigger goals, aspirations, etc.
It'd be handy to have Gelidus here now because he made the connection to an evil dragon god who a lot of D&D players might know as Tiamat.
Right, Tiamat.
Are we doing like one of those Reddit things, like describe a movie plot badly?
Though that would be really good.
I genuinely believe that that's actually what we should be aiming for.
Okay.
Is like, do this, do it badly, get it into 2.5 minutes.
Why don't we do this when Duncan comes back? You each take a shot to describe this badly in less than 1 minute. And then I'll
I think we should just heckle each other though. I think like I can start and then Duncan can tell me how I'm wrong and we can argue and that's fun. But I think genuinely, like,
okay. I'm gonna sit out then. I'm gonna sit out for this. I'm gonna observe. I'm gonna cheerlead.
Don't sit out. Get in here. Get into the dirt.
Okay.
Duncan!
Anything for you, Kyle? You name it. Anything.
Duncan, we're gonna try to collectively and chaotically recap this thing in how many? 150 seconds.
Describe a movie plot badly.
Yes, essentially. Describe a movie plot badly. So, do you want to start, or do you want?
I'll start. A bunch of people who really fucked up their lives royally in a whole bunch of different ways went through magic portals and wound up in a giant diamond because they literally couldn't solve their own problems.
Okay, first off, going to a rave is solving my own problems. Anyways, so I was there and we all collectively met and we proved ourselves to the local populace by partaking in various local games wherein we endeared ourselves to everybody who was part of this space diamond community.
Yeah, nobody cares about this. You met Speaker Shola and she sent you on missions.
First off, endearing myself is very important. Yes, we met Speaker Shola. She sent us on missions, and the missions went out. We fought some giant gorillas. We fought a possessed giant owl. Who else did we fight?
We helped solve a dispute between two feuding vendors in the night market.
We helped solve a
We
dispute
fought some
between feuding
prawns.
vendors in a
We
night
fought
market.
some spicy chilies.
That's true.
Does that count?
We fought battle prawns.
Over the course of our time, we began to uncover that there was a broader plot by infernal forces to try to either undo the magic of the Radiant Citadel or harness the magic of the Radiant Citadel for themselves. By infernal forces, I do mean demons and devils working together, which of course they don't usually do. This is
And by
like that
Radiant
moment in
Citadel-
Ghostbusters, the cats and dogs living together. Mass hysteria.
That's pretty good.
And by Radiant Citadel, we do mean there's a giant space diamond that is protecting multiple realms from demonic and evil forces from entering and creating chaos between the realms.
Well,
It's
it's not actually doing that. It's actually just siphoning the magic and making sure that the demonic and the infernal can't suck everything's magic away and use it for their own purposes. It's a
Yeah, so
giant
anyways,
magic
it's a
filter.
super powered magical diamond, and we have to make sure that it doesn't die in space.
What were you gonna say, Zerwin?
I was going to say, you can speak for yourself. I haven't put shit together. I'm along for the ride. I think we're actually looking for a set of scales that a dragon might use to bring back to Ash. So
Every place
Yeah.
that you've been sent by Speaker Shola has inadvertently or coincidentally or possibly because of those things connected
Explicit.
to this bigger plot, right? Where it's like, oh, every time we go someplace where something is fucked up, there's some sort of demon or devil behind it. You've gone to small villages in the middle of nowhere, to medium-sized cities you've never heard of before, to the largest city you've ever heard of, Waterdeep, to Baldur's Gate, and now you're on literally another plane of existence, right? And you're still exploring the same things, which is, why is all of this happening at once everywhere?
The interesting part being that now we're working with dragons. And so we're like, how are the dragons connected to the demons and the devils and the infernal? Because we're just dealing with dragons now. Now that we have arrived in this place called Kryn, where there's a place called Wonder that we are attempting to preserve because Wonder is over a mine that has dragon metal, and that's a very important resource. Why is this of importance to Speaker Shola? Speaker Shola, who seems to be involved with demons and devils, is now sending us to this place where there are dragons involved. And it turns out that the dragons are doing some pretty weird stuff that may or may not be connected to higher order demon and devil things. And so we're
We've been
starting
playing
to
for
put together a story.
28 sessions. That's a lot of content. And probably within the next 28, we should have some idea of why the, the dragons are involved and in what way they are involved with the
Of
demons
why
and
we
the devils.
play
They're all
Dungeons and
D words. That's the thing, is it's all words that begin with D. So
That's
It's
it's
actually a Sesame
devils,
Street episode, is what this is.
devils, demons, dragons, and dingoes, strangely enough. I have to go take the dog out. If you guys are still going to be here
7
in 15
devils.
minutes, I'll be back.
if that's a euphemism, I don't understand it.
All right, well done. That was pretty good. I like that. We didn't introduce any
Yeah.
of the characters, and
would
we
we?
skipped over most of the important plot pieces. It's perfect.
Not most of the important plot pieces. We
Yeah,
skipped
All of the important plot pieces.
it just depends on what you deem an important plot piece.
yeah, fair
How
enough.
did we get here? You may ask yourself, how did we get here?
All right, that's totally fair.
All right, fine, Zerwin, you do your speed run version.
Okay, let's see. A degenerate gambler, a crazy dragonborn, a quitter, half elf bard, a demon wrangling gnome, or is that what Ezra is? He a gnome?
I think he's a halfling.
Oh, halfling.
Are we calling Barley a quitter?
Yeah. The sneakiest Kender I've ever met, and his weird, possibly lover. I still don't know what Owen is. Go around and compete in local small competitions because they all have ego issues.
That's pretty good. You can just
That's
send
pretty.
it there.
That's pretty much what we've been doing. I don't.
This is and that's
we've been just
correct.
killing livestock and putting animals in danger.
That's correct. And this is the first time. I also want to point out this is the first time in the entire campaign that I've raised the stakes to include the fate of an entire town. You guys are like, don't you think this is a bit much for us? We shouldn't really be doing this. You guys, one of the things you people are like, we should just leave. We should just fucking evacuate.
I accepted the stakes and everybody got pissed off at me because I was like, hey guys, there's stakes. And everyone was like, Kyle, Dirk, I'm going to punch you in the face for taking this seriously. I did.
I mean, the only things we've actually taken seriously have been like the night market games and fucking beating the cousins are the only two things that we've really taken seriously.
I took the seriously.
To be fair, Dirk, you had the best plan to attack the Death Dragon, which turned out to be a horrible idea. But
But it
we
was the
lost
best plan.
Steelbeard, and
That's
That's
the
we
true.
thing, is that you can
so
have the
and
best plan and
we
then
also
some.
that fight went smoother than it should have because first of all, Steelbeard got the crown immediately, and then when he died, you picked it up, and I just ran by you as fast as I could and put it on. Like we hit like 2 or 3 good rolls in a row.
It
There's
was flawless.
no way we should have won that fight.
It's not a bad plan if it works.
It was a great.
I mean,
Like you guys nailed that.
literally, most of our fights should have gone like the Grazitz fights because we have not been doing a good job.
The Brazos fight only went that way because he froze me.
No, I mean and yeah, what were we like level 4? Like, we couldn't have beaten Grazitz with but
All I'm saying is if I was not frozen, then I would have come up with a better plan.
I gotta be honest with you. At this point, my thoughts are I am not actually worried about the Draconians at this point. I'm worried about Rhymeroth. I don't know how the fuck we kill Rhymeroth.
Hmm.
I do.
Oh, hold on. I'm gonna end the stream before you guys go any further. So I'll go back and try to edit as much as I can of that, and I'll release as soon as possible. And there's the recap, part 1.